My name is Whitney Henderson. I'm 38. 3 weeks ago, I sat in a hospital room and watched my mother try to form words after a stroke. And the first full sentence she managed was, "Your brother told me you didn't want me anymore." That sentence broke something open inside me because for 18 months I'd been calling, texting, driving 4 hours to visit, and my brother Derek had been blocking every single attempt. He moved back into Mom's house after his divorce. He told her I abandoned her. He changed her phone number. So he redirected her bank statements to a P.O. box in his name. And while my 71-year-old mother sat alone in that house, believing her daughter forgot about her, Derek drained her savings account. $340,000. 247 withdrawals. The last one was made at the hospital ATM 3 hours after Mom's stroke. Before I tell you exactly how I found out and what I did about it, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if you think this story is worth hearing. Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from and what time it is where you are. Now, let me take you back 18 months to the day my brother moved back into Mom's house and everything started to change. Derek called me on a Tuesday in March. I was at my desk at Richmond Memorial, buried in a stack of insurance claims, when his name lit up my phone. He never called during work hours. I picked up and heard something I hadn't heard since we were kids. My older brother crying. His wife Tammy had filed for divorce. She got the house in Henrio County. She got primary custody of their 2 boys, Mason and Tyler. Derek had 30 days to find somewhere to live. "I've got nothing, Whit," he said. "I've got a duffel bag and a maxed out credit card." I didn't hesitate. "Move in with Mom. She's been alone since Dad died. She'd love having you there." He paused. "You think she'd be okay with that? I think she'd be okay with that?" "Derek, she asks about you every time I call." I phoned Mom that night. Dorothy Henderson, 71 years old, retired elementary school teacher, living alone in the same 3-bedroom house in Millfield, Virginia. White picket fence, Alia bushes along the driveway, the porch swing Dad built the summer before he got sick. She said yes before I finished the sentence. I wired Derek $2,000 the next morning. Moving expenses, first month's groceries. He texted back, "You're the only one who gets it, Whit. Thank you." Thank you. 2 weeks later, my neighbor Patty Greer, Mom's best friend for 20 years, called me. "Your mom is so happy," she said. "Derek's cooking dinner every night. It's like the house has life in it again." I smiled. I really did. Then Patty added almost as an afterthought, "Oh, Derek told me not to mention it, but your mama took a little fall last week. She's fine, though." I called Derek that night. He laughed it off. She slipped on the porch steps. "I was right there. Didn't want you to worry. I let it go. He was my brother. I let it go. He was my brother. Why wouldn't I?" The first month was normal. I called Mom every Sunday at 6, same as always. She told me about the garden, about the new curtains Derek hung in the kitchen, about the pot roast he made that was almost as good as Dad's. "Almost. Not quite," she said, and we both laughed. By the second month, the calls got shorter. "Mom, how are you feeling?" "Tired, honey." "I'm tired." "Did you go to Dr. Patel this week?" "Derek took me." "I'm fine." Then she'd hand the phone to Derek or he'd already be on the line. "Mom's resting, Whit. I'll have her call you back." She never did. Every month I transferred $500 into Mom's checking account. Her medication copays, groceries, the little things pension didn't quite cover. I'd been doing it since Dad passed. It was automatic. I never expected a thank you, but Mom always mentioned it. "Got your deposit, sweetheart. You don't have to do that." Every single month until she stopped mentioning it. "Derek, did Mom get the transfer this month?" "Oh, yeah," she said, "thanks. She just forgot to tell you. My mother taught 2nd grade for 31 years. She wrote thank you cards for thank you cards." Dorothy Henderson did not forget, but I told myself she was adjusting. Having Derek in the house was a change. She was probably just settling into a new routine. I checked my bank app. The transfers were going through. Same account, same amount every month. The money was landing. That was enough. I didn't have access to her savings account. I'd never needed it. She was my mother, not my client. And Derek was there. Derek was handling things. That's what I kept telling myself. May rolled around. Soon, tax season had finally loosened its grip. I'd been working 60-hour weeks at the hospital reconciling billing codes until my eyes crossed. I picked up the phone to call Mom on a Sunday evening and heard 3 sharp tones. The number you have dialed is no longer in service. I called again. Same message. I tried her cell disconnected. My hands went cold. I dialed Derek. Oh yeah, Mom switched carriers. New number. He rattled off 10 digits. Sorry, I forgot to send it to you. I called the new number Monday morning. Voicemail. Tuesday. Voicemail. Wednesday voicemail. I left messages each time. Gentle ones. Hey Mom, just checking in. Call me when you can. No call back. The following Saturday, I drove 4 hours south to Millfield. The dogwoods were blooming along Route 15 and the afternoon light hit the Blue Ridge just right, but I barely noticed. I pulled into Mom's gravel driveway at 3 Killick met me at the front door. Not Mom. Derek. She's out with friends, he said, leaning against the doorframe. I looked past him. Mom's Buick was parked in the garage. Her car is right there. Patty drove her. They went to the garden center. I called Patty from the driveway. Did you take Mom somewhere today? No, sweetheart. I've been home all day. When I walked back to the porch, Derek shrugged. Must have been someone from church. Then she just left. I stayed for an hour. Mom never appeared. Derek made small talk about the Orioles and poured me iced tea I didn't drink. That night, back in my apartment in Richmond, a text came through from Mom's new number. Whitney, I need some space. Please don't come by for a while. The phrasing was wrong. My mother had never used the word space in her life. But Derek was my brother, and I still believed that meant something. Growing up in the Henderson house, there were two kinds of kids. There was Derek, varsity quarterback, homecoming king, the son who made Dad's chest puff out at Friday night games. And there was me, on a roll every semester, worked the register at Creekide Pharmacy after school, graduated summa cum laude from James Madison. Mom clipped my report cards to the fridge. Dad framed Derek's football jerseys on the den wall. I'm not saying I was neglected. I wasn't. My parents loved me. But Derek occupied a different kind of space in our family. He was the story people told. I was the one who stayed after the party to wash the dishes. When Dad got diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer 8 years ago, Derek flew in for the big moments, the diagnosis meeting, the surgery, the last weekend. I was the one who drove Dad to chemo every Thursday for 7 months. I sat with him in those vinyl chairs while poison dripped into his arm. Where is it, Betis? And he told me about the summer he met Mom at a county fair. After Dad passed, I handled the medical bills. $12,000 the insurance didn't cover. I paid it out of my savings over 14 months. Nobody asked me to. Nobody knew I did it. I still have the receipts in a manila envelope in my filing cabinet. At the memorial dinner, Aunt Karen, Dad's older sister, 65, silver hair, voice like a church bell, put her hand on Derek's shoulder and said loud enough for the whole table to hear, Derek gave up everything to be close to your mama. What's your excuse, Whitney? I was standing right there. I just written the last check to Mercy General 2 days before. I didn't say anything. I never did. That was the pattern. Derek got the credit. I did the work. And I kept letting it happen because I thought blood meant trust. By August, 5 months after Derek moved in, my mother had vanished from her own life. She stopped going to Millfield Baptist, the church she'd attended every Sunday for 30 years straight. Not for snowstorms, not for the flu, not even the week we buried Dad. I called Pastor David. He said Derek had phoned the church office. Mom's not feeling well. She'll be back when she's stronger. I called Dr. Patel's office next. The receptionist checked the system. Mrs. Henderson has canceled her last 3 appointments. Who canceled them? I'd have to check. It looks like someone called on her behalf. I started writing letters, actual pen and paper letters, mailed through the post office because Derek couldn't intercept those. Or so I thought. I wrote 3 over the next month. None came back. None were answered. September was Mom's birthday. 71. I ordered her favorite yellow roses, 2 dozen, with a card that said, Happy birthday, Mom. I love you. Call me anytime. Whitney, I had them delivered to the house. Derek texted me a photo that evening. Mom sitting at the kitchen table, roses in a glass vase, smiling at the camera. She loves them. Thanks, Whit. I stared at that photo for a long time. The smile looked right. The eyes didn't. Mom had lost weight. Her collarbones jutted beneath her blouse. Behind her, the kitchen counter was cluttered with takeout containers and unopened mail. I zoomed in. On the counter, half hidden behind a pizza box, a stack of envelopes. I couldn't read the return address, but the top envelope was from Shenandoah Valley Federal Credit Union, Mom's bank. It sat there unopened, and something in the back of my mind, the part trained by 15 years of reading billing discrepancies, started whispering. I ran the math the way I run hospital audits, dispassionate, column by column. Mom's savings account held $340,000. That was 30 years of teaching, 3 decades of clipping coupons, skipping vacations, driving the same Buick until the odometer rolled past 200,000. Dad used to joke that Mom could squeeze a nickel until the buffalo screamed. She saved because saving was how she loved us. Every dollar was a promise that her kids would be okay. Her pension brought in $21,100 a month. Social Security added another $1,400, enough for groceries, utilities, property tax, and her medications. The savings account was the safety net, the thing that would pay for assisted living if she ever needed it. $4,000 to $6,000 a month, depending on the facility. Without that savings, she'd run out of options within a year. If Derek was spending Mom's money and I still had no proof, only a growing dread, and I did nothing, here's what would happen. The savings would empty. Mom would have no cushion. If her health declined further, I'd be the one covering the gap on a hospital billing specialist salary. And if Derek managed to get legal guardianship before I even understood the situation, he'd have total control. But that wasn't the stake that kept me up at night. The real stake was this. My mother might die believing her daughter abandoned her. 18 months of silence. Not because I chose silence, but because someone built a wall between us and told her I put it there. I still didn't have proof. I had instinct and a photograph of an unopened bank envelope. On October 14th at 2:13 in the morning, my phone rang. The caller ID showed a Millfield area code, but it wasn't Derek. It was Patty Greer, and she was crying. "Whitney, you need to come now. Your mama had a stroke." The ambulance just took her. I was on I-64 South within 12 minutes. 2:15 in the morning. Rain sheeting across the windshield, my knuckles bone white on the steering wheel. The Civic's high beams carved tunnels through fog in the Shenandoah Valley. I didn't turn the radio on. I didn't cry. I drove 4 hours and 5 minutes, Millfield Regional, the emergency entrance. I parked crooked across 2 spaces and ran. The woman at the front desk pointed me to the 4th floor, room 412. I took the stairs because the elevator was too slow. The door was half open. Mom lay in the bed, eyes closed, tubes in her arm, a monitor beeping in steady rhythm. The left side of her face drooped slightly. A thin line of drool trailed from the corner of her mouth to the pillow. Derek sat in the corner chair. A paper coffee cup rested on the windowsill beside him. His phone was in his hand. He looked up when I walked in. "Oh, you came." I stood in the doorway, still wearing the sweatpants I'd thrown on at 2 in the morning. "Why didn't you call me?" "I called the doctors. I was handling it." "Mom had a stroke, Derek." "Patty called me at 2 a.m. You had 3 hours." He set the phone face down on his thigh. "I was going to call you in the morning, didn't I?" didn't want to wake you." I looked at my mother, at the monitors, at the Ford drip, at Derek's coffee cup. He'd had time to find the cafeteria. A nurse passed behind me in the hallway. I caught her arm gently. "Excuse me, were you on shift when Mrs. Henderson was admitted?" She nodded. 11:02 p.m., I turned back to Derek. He was already looking at his phone again. The nurse leaned close to my ear. "Just so you know, your brother took your mother's wallet and phone from her belongings bag right after she was admitted. Said he needed to keep them safe." Derek left the room around 7 to get breakfast. I'd been sitting in the other chair for nearly an hour watching Mom's chest rise and fall, counting the seconds between each beep on the monitor. When her eyes opened, they were glassy and confused. Her right hand twitched against the blanket. The left side of her face barely moved. I slid my chair closer, took her hand. "Mom, it's Whitney." "I'm here." She blinked, her lips parted. A sound came out, rough and broken, like words dragged across gravel. She tried again and again. Then slowly, 1 syllable at a time, she said it. "He told me you didn't want me anymore." The heart monitor beeped. The fluorescent light above us buzzed. Somewhere down the hall, a cart rattled across linoleum. "Who told you that, Mom?" Her eyes drifted toward the door. Toward the hallway Derek had walked down 2 minutes ago. I didn't move. I didn't raise my voice. I held her hand and I breathed in through the nose, out through the mouth, the way the grief counselor taught me after Dad died. 18 months. For 18 months, my mother lived in that house believing I didn't care. She sat at that kitchen table, looked at the phone that never rang because Derek made sure it couldn't, and thought her daughter had thrown her away. She spent holidays alone with a man who was robbing her and telling her it was love. Huh. Squeezed her hand. Mom, I called you every single week. He changed your number. I drove down twice and he told me you didn't want to see me. She closed her eyes. A tear slid from the corner of her right eye into the pillow. I didn't cry. Crying was for later. Right now, I needed to think because if Derek lied about me, what else did he lie about? I found the charge nurse at the station down the hall. My mother's personal belongings, her wallet and phone, where are they? The nurse checked her notes. Her son, Derek Henderson, took them from the belongings bag last night. He said he'd keep them in the car. I'd like them back. I'm her daughter. You'll need to speak with him directly. He's listed as primary contact. I went back to the room and waited. Derek returned at 7:30 carrying a blueberry muffin and a fresh coffee like it was any other morning. I need Mom's wallet, I said. He took a bite of the muffin. It's at the house. Safer there. Bring it here. Why? Mom needs toiletries. I'll pick them up. I can handle that. Derek, give me Mom's wallet. He chewed slowly. 5 seconds of silence. Then I'll look for it when I go home tonight. And her ATM card. His jaw stopped mid-schwa for a beat, half a second. Then he swallowed and shrugged. It's in the wallet. Then bring the wallet today. He didn't answer. He pulled out his phone and started scrolling. I walked to the parking lot, sat in my Civic, pulled up the number for Shenandoah Valley Federal Credit Union, an automated menu. Press 1 for accounts. Press 2 for customer service. I need to check the status of a savings account. The account holder is Dorothy Henderson. I'm her daughter, Whitney Henderson. Ma'am, for account access, you'll need to visit a branch in person with valid identification. Where's your nearest branch? Millfield on Main Street, open at 9. I looked at the clock on my dashboard, 8:47. He couldn't look me in the eye when I asked about that card. His jaw had stopped half a second, but I caught it. I turned the key in the ignition. The Millfield branch of Shenandoah Valley Federal sat between a hardware store and a diner on Main Street. I walked in at 9:03 with my driver's license, my birth certificate, and a knot in my stomach. The branch manager, Russell Cahill, was a broad-shouldered man in a navy blazer who shook my hand like he meant it. I told him my mother was in the hospital. I told him I needed to see her savings account activity. He asked for my ID, checked the system, pulled up Dorothy Henderson's account. Then he went quiet for a moment, the kind of quiet that has weight. Let me print this for you, he said. The printer hummed. 14 pages slid into the tray. I sat at his desk and started reading. The first withdrawal, $800 3 days after Derek moved in. Then $500, $1,200, $2,000. The amounts climbed like stairs. Some weeks had 3 transactions, some had 5. A TM pulls counter withdrawals, Zelle transfers, debit purchases, all from one account, all in 18 months. 247 transactions, total withdrawn $340,000. Account balance $43.17. My hands were steady through page 10. By page 12, they weren't. I turned to page 14, the last page, and read the final line. A TM withdrawal, $300. Timestamp 11:47 p.m. Location, ATM, Mercy General Hospital. My mother was admitted to that hospital at 2 p.m. 45 minutes. He'd waited 45 minutes while she was being wheeled into the walked downstairs, and pulled $300 from the ATM in the lobby. I set the paper down. Russell cleared his throat. There's one more thing. The mailing address on this account was changed 16 months ago. Statements rerouted to a P. Box. He turned his monitor toward me. Box 2247, registered to Derek Henderson, the $43.17. That was all that remained of my mother's entire life. I'm going to pause here for a second because when I was sitting in that bank, staring at those 14 pages, I thought about every phone call my brother didn't let me make, every visit he blocked, every lie he told my mother about me. If you've ever had someone in your family weaponize your absence against you, you know exactly what I felt in that chair. Drop a comment and tell me where you're watching from and what time it is. And if this story is hitting close to home, hit subscribe because what I did next, I need you to hear it. Now, back to the story. I checked into the Millfield Motor Inn that afternoon. $49 a night, floral bedspread, a window unit that groaned like it had opinions. I spread all 14 pages across the bed and opened my laptop. This is what I do for a living. I reconcile hospital billing statements. I match procedure codes to insurance payouts. I find the line that doesn't belong, the charge that slipped through, the decimal in the wrong column. 15 years of training my eyes to catch what doesn't fit. I highlighted in yellow for ATM withdrawals, pink for point-of-sale purchases, green for electronic transfers. Then I started building a spreadsheet. Date, amount, location, category. The pattern came into focus within an hour. $28,000 in Zelle transfers to an account under the name Megan Torres. I'd never heard that name. I searched Derek's Facebook. There she was, tagged in a photo from June, his arm around her at a rooftop bar in Charlottesville. His new girlfriend, funded by her mother's retirement, $15,000 in payments to Bet Rivers, an online gambling platform spread across dozens of small transactions, 50 here, 200 there, foot there. Then a single charge of $3,000 on a Friday night, $47,000 in credit card payments, all to cards in Derek's name. A $6,200 purchase at Blue Ridge Motors. I cross-referenced the date with Derek's Instagram. 2 days later, he posted a photo of a silver Dodge Charger with the caption, "Fresh Start." My mother's fresh start money. Her 30 years of teaching, her coupon clipping, vacation skipping, nickel-squeezing savings turned into gambling debts, a girlfriend's Venmo, and a muscle car. I saved the spreadsheet, backed it up to my cloud drive. Then I pulled 3 counter withdrawal slips Russell had photocopied, the ones requiring a signature. Mom's name was on each one, but the handwriting tilted wrong. The loops were too tight. The capital D in Dorothy looked nothing like the way she'd always written it. I photographed everything. I found Claire Whitmore's name on the Virginia State Bar website at 1 in the morning, sitting cross-legged on that motel bed with my laptop balanced on a pillow. I emailed her a summary at 1:20 a.m. She replied at 7:15. Can you come in today? Her office was on the second floor of a brick building off the downtown mall. She was younger than I expected, mid-40s, dark hair pulled back, reading glasses perched on her nose. No small talk. She pointed to the chair across her desk and said, "Show me what you have." I laid out the 14 pages, the Excel spreadsheet printed in color, the P.O. box registration, the photos of the withdrawal signatures. She read for 20 minutes without speaking. Then she took off her glasses. This is textbook elder financial exploitation, systematic withdrawals, redirected mail, social isolation of the victim, cognitive decline that likely predates the stroke. She tapped the signature photos and these don't match. She walked me through the options. File a report with Adult Protective Services. They'd open an investigation, simultaneously notify the Commonwealth Attorney's Office for criminal charges, and petition the court for emergency guardianship to protect Mom going forward. The bank records alone are strong, she said. But if we can get a medical evaluation showing your mother had diminished capacity during the period of these withdrawals, the case becomes airtight. I stared at the stack of papers between us. If I file, could Derek go to prison? Claire held my gaze. Elder financial exploitation is a felony in Virginia with this amount. Yes, he could. The room was very quiet. This isn't a family disagreement, Miss Henderson. She said, "This is a crime and your mother is the victim." I drove back to Mercy General that afternoon, straight to the 4th floor, room 412. A nurse I hadn't seen before stood in my path. "I'm sorry. Visiting for Mrs. Henderson has been restricted. Family only. I am family." "I'm her daughter." The nurse checked her clipboard. "The primary caregiver, Derek Henderson, submitted a visitor restriction request this morning. Only immediate household members. My mother doesn't have household members. She has children. I'm one of them." The nurse looked uncomfortable but didn't budge. "You'll need to take it up with administration." I called Derek from the hallway. He picked up on the first ring, almost like he'd been waiting. "Why am I blocked from seeing Mom?" "Doctor said she needs rest." "You showing up and interrogating her isn't helping." "I'm not interrogating her. I'm her daughter." A daughter who didn't visit once in 18 months in 18 months. Dorsey gets sicker. His voice had that slick practice calm. The voice he'd used at the car dealership. The one that made people sign before they finished reading. I'm protecting Mom, Whitney. I kept my voice level. You're protecting Mom by draining $340,000 from her account. 5 seconds of dead air. Then the line went dead. 1 hour later, my phone buzzed. A group text from Derek to the entire Henderson family. Aunt Karen, Uncle Bob, cousins Rachel and Tim, even Pastor David. Hey everyone, wanted to let you know Whitney showed up at the hospital making accusations and upsetting Mom. She hasn't been around for 18 months, and now she's trying to take control of Mom's finances while Mom can barely speak. I need your support. Mom needs stability, not drama. Aunt Karen replied within 3 minutes. Derek, your mom's rock. We're behind you 100%. My phone kept buzzing. Uncle Bob, cousin Rachel, all backing Derek. Not one of them called me to ask my side. Aunt Karen called the next morning. I was sitting in the motel parking lot eating a gas station granola bar for breakfast. Whitney, honey, I know you mean well, but your mama is sick. This isn't the time to start a fight. Aunt Karen, I'm not starting a fight. Derek has been there every single day. He cooks for her. He drives her to church. Well, he was driving her to church. She paused. The point is, he sacrificed his whole life after that awful divorce. And you come back after 18 months and start throwing around accusations. I opened my mouth, closed it, opened it again. Have you asked Derek where Mom's money went? Dorothy's money is Dorothy's business. Derek wouldn't steal from his own mother. Uncle Bob texted me that afternoon. Your father wouldn't want this, Whitney. Family doesn't go to war with family. Cousin Rachel sent a message that was 3 paragraphs of gentle scolding dressed up as concern. The gist. Maybe I should take some time to process my guilt about being absent before making things worse. By Wednesday, Derek's narrative had spread through Millfield Baptist, the pharmacy, the diner on Main Street, my brother, the small-town hero, devoted son, taking care of his sick mother, and me, the daughter who lived 4 hours away and only showed up when there was something to gain. He'd done to me exactly what he'd done to Mom. He'd built a wall of lies and dared anyone to look behind it. I called Claire Whitmore from the motel room that evening. My voice was steady. My hands were not. He's blocking me from seeing her. The whole family is against me. Claire didn't miss a beat. Then we go somewhere. He can't block you. The law. A PS called me back. They've opened a case file. I exhaled for what felt like the first time in days. 3 days later, Derek sent an email to the whole family. Subject line, family meeting, Mom's future. Hi, everyone. I'd like to invite you to meet at Mercy General this Sunday at 2 p.m. to discuss long-term care options for Mom. She's going to need full-time help, and I think we should make these decisions together as a family. Conference room B, 4th floor. Derek, I read it twice. The tone was warm, reasonable, concerned. Classic Derek, the same voice that sold extended warranties on Ute sedans. I knew exactly what this meeting was. He wanted the family to officially hand him guardianship. He'd sit at the head of the table, say all the right things about Mom's care, and walk out with legal control over a woman whose savings he'd already stolen. I called Claire. He's holding a family meeting Sunday. He wants guardianship. Go with what? He's got the whole family in his pocket. Bring the bank statements, 3 printed copies, your spreadsheet, the PO box documentation. I'll be there with you. You come? Miss Henderson, I've handled 40 elder abuse cases. The abuser almost always tries to consolidate power while the victim is incapacitated. That meeting is your window. Saturday night, I sat in the motel room and printed 3 complete sets of transaction records on the motel's ancient business center printer. 14 pages each, highlighted, yellow for ATM, pink for purchases, green for transfers. I stapled each set, placed them in a manila folder, added the PO box form, and the signature comparisons. I looked at the family photo I kept in my wallet. Mom, Dad, Derek, me. Christmas 2014. All 4 of us smiling in front of the tree. I didn't want to destroy my family, but my family had already been destroyed. I was just bringing the proof. I didn't sleep that night, but I wasn't nervous. I was ready. Conference room B was beige walls, a long table with 8 rolling chairs, and a window that looked out over the parking lot. The fluorescent lights hummed the way they always do in hospitals. That low, constant drone that gets inside your teeth. They were all there by 2. Aunt Karen in her Sunday blouse, silver cross necklace resting on her collarbone. Uncle Bob in a flannel shirt, arms crossed. Cousins Rachel and Tim side by side looking uncomfortable. Pastor David sat at the far end, hands folded on the table, quiet. Derek stood at the head. "Thank you all for coming," he said. He'd shaved, put on a button-down. He looked like a man about to deliver a eulogy. Somber, composed, in control. Mom's recovery is going to be a long road. She's going to need full-time care. I've been here every day since she came in. I've been here every day for 18 months. He let that land. I want to formally request the family support to become Mom's legal guardian. Aunt Karen nodded. Uncle Bob murmured something that sounded like agreement. Derek turned to me. I sat at the opposite end of the table. Clara Whitmore was in the chair to my right, dark blazer, leather briefcase on the floor beside her. "Whitney, I'm glad you're here," Derek said. He smiled, that car lot smile. "I hope we can work together on this." He glanced at Claire. "So Claire." The smile dimmed half a watt. "Who's this?" "My attorney," I said. The room shifted. Aunt Karen's eyebrows drew together. Uncle Bob unfolded his arms. Pastor David looked up from his hands for the first time. "Attorney?" Aunt Karen said. "Whitney, this is a family meeting, not a courtroom." Derek's smile returned wider now. "See, this is what I was talking about. She's here to start trouble." I reached down and opened my bag. The manila folder sat heavy on my lap. "No, Derek," I said. "I'm here from Mom." I placed 3 sets of stapled pages on the table, slid one to Aunt Karen, one to Uncle Bob, kept one in front of me. "Mom's savings account," I said. My voice was even. No tremor. 18 months of transactions, $247 withdrawals. Total amount, $340,000. Current balance, $43.17. Aunt Karen picked up her copy the way you'd pick up a letter you're afraid to open. Uncle Bob put on his reading glasses. Nobody spoke. "Page 7, I said, June 15th. $3,200 transferred via Zelle to Megan Torres. I looked at Derek, your girlfriend. His face went from composed to pink in under 2 seconds. Page 11, 4 payments to Bet Rivers, an online gambling site. $15,000 total. Derek opened his mouth. That's not page 14. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't have to. The last transaction, ATM withdrawal, $300. Time 11:47 p.m. location. The ATM in the lobby of this hospital. I let the silence sit for 3 full seconds. Mom was admitted at 11:02 p.m. She was being wheeled into the emergency room, and you walked downstairs and pulled $300 from her account. Aunt Karen set the pages down. Her hands were shaking. Uncle Bob's reading glasses had slid to the tip of his nose, but he didn't push them back up. He just stared at the numbers. Pastor David rose from his chair without a word, walked to the door, and left the room. Cousin Rachel covered her mouth with her hand. Tim stared at the table. Derek stood at the head of the table, mouth half open, looking from face to face for anyone who would meet his eyes. No one did. I didn't raise my voice. 14 pages of bank records speak louder than anything I could ever say. Derek's hands came up, palms out, the way a man does when the ground starts moving under him. This is Mom's money, he said. As she gave it to me, I asked. And she said yes, I've been taking care of her. You were taking care of her, I said. While telling her that her daughter abandoned her, while changing her phone number, while canceling her doctor's appointments, while redirecting her bank statements to a PO box in your name. Aunt Karen's head snapped toward Derek. Claire Whitmore opened her briefcase. She placed 2 documents on the table. The first was a letter from Adult Protective Services confirming an open investigation into the financial exploitation of Dorothy Henderson. The second was a preliminary cognitive assessment from Mom's neurologist, findings consistent with mild cognitive impairment beginning at least 6 months before the stroke. Under Virginia law, Claire said, her voice carrying the clipped authority of someone who had said this in conference rooms and courtrooms and living rooms more times than she could count. Withdrawing funds from an elderly person's account while that person is cognitively impaired and isolated from family constitutes elder financial exploitation. It's a Class 3 felony. Derek's face had gone from pink to white. Everyone listened. His voice cracked. This is my sister trying to take Mom away from me. She didn't visit for 18 months. Uncle Bob set both palms flat on the table. The sound was louder than it should have been. Sit down, Derek. Derek blinked. Sit down. He sat. Aunt Karen stared at her copy of the bank statement. Her fingers traced the highlighted lines, yellow, pink, green, one after another. When she finally looked up, her eyes were red and wet, and they were fixed on Derek. She didn't say a word. She didn't have to. I placed one more sheet on the table. The bank's address change authorization form. Mom's name printed at the top, a signature at the bottom. Next to it, I set down a birthday card Mom had sent me 3 years ago. The handwriting was round, looping, generous, the way she'd always written in the careful cursive of a woman who'd spent decades teaching children to form their letters properly. Look at the signature on the bank form, I said. Then look at her handwriting on this card. Aunt Karen held them side by side. The difference was obvious. The bank form signature was cramped, angled, rushed. The D in Dorothy tilted the wrong way. The card was unmistakably Mom's hand. Derek changed the mailing address 16 months ago, I said. Mom's statements were sent to P, box 2247, his name, his box. She never saw a single transaction. She had no idea the money was gone. Uncle Bob took off his reading glasses and pressed his thumb and forefinger against his closed eyes. Cousin Rachel whispered to Tim, $340,000. Derek sat in his chair, shoulders curled forward, staring at the table. His mouth moved, but nothing came out. I looked at him. My brother, 4 years older. The boy who'd pushed me on the tire swing in the backyard. The teenager who'd driven me to my first school dance. The man who'd read our father's eulogy with a steady voice while I sobbed in the front pew. You can pay back money, Derek, I said. You can't pay back the 18 months she spent thinking I didn't love her. The conference room was silent except for the hum of the fluorescent lights and the distant beep of a heart monitor somewhere down the hall. Aunt Karen put her head in her hands. Claire stood. She didn't rush it. She buttoned her blazer, placed both hands on the back of her chair, and addressed the room the way an attorney addresses a room with the weight of procedure behind every word. I want to make sure the family understands the next steps. Tomorrow morning, we will file a petition for emergency guardianship of Dorothy Henderson with Whitney Henderson named as proposed guardian. We have also filed a formal report with Adult Protective Services and referred the case to the Commonwealth Attorney's Office for criminal investigation into elder financial exploitation. Derek pushed back from the table. You can't do this. You're destroying this family. I looked at him. No, Derek. You destroyed it when you pulled $300 from the hospital ATM while Mom was in the air 3 floors above you. Aunt Karen lifted her head. Mascara tracked down both cheeks. Her voice came out thin, fractured. Derek, is this true? All of it? He didn't answer. He didn't answer. He grabbed his jacket from the back of his chair, stood up, walked to the door. Uncle Bob's voice came low and hard from the other end of the table. Derek, you walk out that door. Don't come back. Derek stopped. His hand was on the handle. He stood there for 3 seconds, the longest 3 seconds, and then he opened it and left. The door swung shut behind him with a soft click that sounded like a lock turning. The room let out a collective breath. I sat with my hands folded over the manila folder. Through the window, I could see the parking lot below and beyond it. The 4th floor of the hospital wing where my mother lay in room 412, still trying to relearn how to speak. Claire touched my elbow. You did well. I didn't feel like I did anything well. I felt like I'd just performed surgery on my own family without anesthesia. I want to ask you something. When I was sitting in that room holding those bank statements, every relative who judged me for 18 months finally saw the truth. But the hardest part wasn't proving what Derek did. The hardest part was accepting that my own brother did it. If you've ever had to choose between family loyalty and doing what's right, tell me in the comments because this next part is where everything changed for Mom and me. And now, let me tell you what happened next. Monday morning, 9:00 a.m., the county courthouse in Millfield smelled like old wood and floor polish. Claire and I walked through the metal detector and up to the 2nd floor, family court. We filed the emergency guardianship petition at the clerk's window. Attached the bank records, the apps report, Dr. Patel's cognitive evaluation, the address change form. and a sworn affidavit from me detailing 18 months of blocked calls, canceled visits, and my mother's own words in the hospital. The judge, the Honorable Margaret Delaney, a gay-haired woman with bifocals and a no-nonsense set to her jaw, reviewed the packet in chambers. It took 40 minutes. She signed the order at 9:47 a.m. Whitney Henderson, appointed emergency temporary guardian of Dorothy Henderson. Derek Henderson, barred from accessing any financial account in Dorothy Henderson's name. All existing powers of attorney held by Derek Henderson revoked immediately. By 10:15, I was on the phone with Russell Cahill at the bank. Every ATM card linked to Mom's account deactivated. Every password changed. Every alert set for any withdrawal over $200. The statements rerouted to my address in Richmond. By 11, I was on the phone with Mercy General's patient services. Next of kin updated, visitor restrictions removed. Derek's primary caregiver designation scrubbed from the file. At noon, I walked into room 412. Mom was propped up in bed, a speech therapist working with her on vowel sounds. When she saw me, her right hand reached out. I sat down, took her hand, and for the first time since I'd arrived in Millfield, for the first time in 18 months, my mother smiled at me, small, lopsided from the stroke, but real. "I'll be here every day, Mom. I promise." She squeezed my fingers. Once, twice. That was enough. The investigator from the Commonwealth Attorney's Office was a woman named Lieutenant Dana Marsh, 50-ish, short hair, reading glasses on a chain around her neck. She met me in a small interview room at the county offices on Tuesday afternoon. I brought everything. The bank statements, the spreadsheet printed, color-coded with a legend at the top, the PO box documentation, the signature comparisons, screenshots of Derek's group text to the family, a print out of his Facebook photo with Megan Torres dated to the same month as the Zelle transfers. Lieutenant Marsh reviewed each document methodically. She made notes on a yellow legal pad. $28,000 to the girlfriend Zelle, she said half to herself. $15,000 to gambling, $47,000 to credit card debt. She looked up. Did your mother have any history of gambling? My mother's idea of a wild night was 2 games of Scrabble and a glass of sweet tea. The ATM withdrawal at the hospital will pull the security footage. Timestamps will either confirm or deny. It'll confirm. She closed her legal pad. Miss Henderson, $340,000 from a 71-year-old stroke victim with documented cognitive impairment. This is exactly the kind of case we prioritize. We'll be contacting the bank for their surveillance records and reaching out to your brother for a formal interview. She walked me to the door, paused. One more thing. Do you have any indication your brother had a gambling problem before this? He was fired from his last job, sales manager at a car dealership. They said it was performance related, but he never gave me details. She wrote something on her pad. I'll look into it. I sat on the stone bench outside the courthouse. The afternoon sun came through the maples, warm and yellow. I called Patty. I filed Patty. Her voice broke. Your mama would be proud, sweetheart. When she understands what happened, she'll be so proud. 3 days after the family meeting, my phone rang at 9 in the evening. Derek's name on the screen. I almost didn't answer. His voice was different. No charm, no practiced calm. Just a man standing at the edge of something and looking down. Whitney, please don't go through with the criminal charges. I'll pay it back. I'll sell the car. I'll sell everything I have. You stole $340,000, Derek. How much do you actually have? Silence. A long one. I'll figure it out. Just please. I'm your brother. You're my brother who told our mother I abandoned her. I know. His voice cracked. I know I did that. And I know it was wrong. I was drowning Whitney. Tammy took the boys. I lost my job. The gambling got out of control. I moved in with Mom and I told myself I'd pay it all back. Every month I told myself next month I'd stop. But you didn't stop. No, you rerouted her bank statement so she'd never see the withdrawals. Yes, you changed her phone number and blocked me from seeing her. I was scared you'd find out. And the night of her stroke, the ATM, he was crying now. Ugly, ragged sobs. She was in the ambulance. I wasn't thinking. The bills were due, and I kept my voice steady. Don't tell me what Mom would want. You've spoken for her long enough. More sobbing. I listened. I didn't hang up. I didn't comfort him. I love Mom. He said I do. Then you should have protected her. Instead, you were the one she needed protection from. I hung up, set the phone face down on the nightstand, stared at the motel ceiling until the water stain above the bed blurred. He wanted me to choose family over Mom's safety. But Mom is my family. She always was. 6 weeks later, the grand jury returned its indictment. Derek Allen Henderson, 3 counts of elder financial exploitation, a Class 3 felony, 1 count of forgery, 1 count of identity theft for using Mom's personal information to establish the P.O. box and alter her banking records. If convicted on all counts, he faced 2 to 20 years. Claire called me with the news while I was sitting with Mom at the rehabilitation center in Henrico County, the one I'd transferred her to. 20 minutes from my apartment, Mom was working with a speech therapist, practicing consonant clusters, her right hand gripping a foam ball for strength. She was getting better, slowly, painfully, but better. Grand jury indicted on all counts, Claire said. Derek retained counsel. They'll likely negotiate a plea. Okay, I said. You all right? I'm sitting with my mother while she relearns how to say the word daughter. So no, but I'm where I need to be. Dererick's attorney reached out to the Commonwealth attorney within a week. Plea negotiations began. I stayed out of it. That wasn't my battle anymore. The law had the evidence. The law could do its work. I focused on Mom. One Thursday afternoon, during a quiet moment between therapy sessions, she turned to me. Her words came slowly, each one a small victory. Whitney, did your brother take my mother, 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 take my money, 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 take my money. I set down the magazine I'd been pretending to read. Yes, Mom, he did. She closed her eyes. A single tear ran down the right side of her face, the side that still worked properly. I'm sorry, she whispered. I pulled my chair close, took her hand. You have nothing to be sorry for, Mom. He lied to both of us. She opened her eyes, looked at me, and said in a voice barely louder than the hum of the air conditioning, I thought you forgot me. Never, Mom. Not for one single day. Here are the numbers. I'll give them to you straight because that's all numbers deserve. $340,000 gone. Derek's recoverable assets totaled roughly $47,000. The Dodge Charger, some electronics, a few thousand in a checking account he hadn't yet drained. After Claire hired a forensic accountant to trace the flows, the maximum realistic restitution came to about $60,000, including the car sale and a lien on any future earnings. That left $280,000 that would never come back. Gambled away, spent on a girlfriend who didn't know where the money came from. poured into credit card minimums for debts he'd racked up before he ever touched Mom's account. Mom's monthly income, pension plus Social Security, totaled $3,500. A decent assisted living facility in Virginia cost $4,000 to $6,000 a month. Without the savings cushion, she couldn't afford long-term care on her own. The math didn't work. It wasn't close. So I did what needed doing. I sold my apartment in Richmond, the one I'd spent 4 years paying the mortgage on, the one with the bay window where I used to read on Sunday mornings. I netted $52,000 after closing costs. Moved into a studio in a cheaper neighborhood. 600 square feet, street noise, a kitchen, the size of a closet. The difference went into Mom's care fund. My mother saved for 30 years. She pinched every penny, drove the same car, never took a real vacation. $340,000, 3 decades of discipline and sacrifice, erased in 18 months by her own son. I'd spent years trying to rebuild a fraction of what she'd lost. I knew that. I'd made peace with it. Some debts aren't measured in dollars. They're measured in time. The years she spent saving and the years I'd spend making up the difference. Millfield is a small town. 1,200 people, 2 stoplights, 1 diner where the waitress knows your name and your order and your business. News doesn't travel in a place like that. It detonates. Within a week of the family meeting, everyone knew. The church ladies, the pharmacist, the woman at the post office who'd been renting PO Box 2247 to Derek without knowing what it was for. Pastor David never mentioned Derek from the pulpit. But his sermon that Sunday was about the sin of betrayal within families, and every head in every pew knew exactly who he was talking about. Megan Torres, Derek's girlfriend, the one who'd received $28,000 via Zelle, broke things off the day after the indictment became public. She called me actually crying. "I didn't know," she said. "He told me it was his severance pay." I swear I didn't know. I believed her. I didn't have the energy not to. Aunt Karen called me on a Wednesday evening, 3 weeks after the meeting. She didn't lead with small talk. "Whitney, I owe you an apology." I stood in that room for 18 months and told people you were the problem. I was wrong. You weren't wrong for trusting your nephew. I said you were wrong for not asking your niece. She was quiet for a long time. You're right. I should have called you. Yes, you should have. The extended family began reaching out one by one. Some apologized. Some just asked how Mom was doing, which was its own kind of apology. I accepted each one without keeping score. Rebuilding takes enough energy without adding a ledger. Claire secured a court order, barring Derek from the property. The house on Maple Street, white picket fence, Elia beds, porch swing, sat empty while Mom recovered. Patty kept an eye on it, picked up the mail, watered the plants. The town moved on. Towns always do. But Dorothy Henderson's name carried a different kind of weight now. Not pity, but respect for what her daughter had done. 2 months after the stroke, Mom's speech came back in fragments. Nouns first, then verbs, then the connective tissue that holds a sentence together. Her therapist said recovery was a staircase, not a ramp. Some days she climbed 3 steps. Some days she slid back 1. On a Tuesday afternoon in December, Mom was sitting in her wheelchair by the window at the rehab center, watching sparrows fight over the bird feeder in the garden. I was beside her answering work emails on my phone. She hadn't spoken in 20 minutes. Then she said, "I remember." I put the phone down. "I tried to call you," she said. Each word was deliberate, placed like a foot on uncertain ground. "I dialed your old number many times. It didn't work. I asked Derek for your new number. He said you changed it. He said you didn't give it to him." I pulled up my phone's call history. 18 months of outgoing calls to her old number. Dozens and dozens of them, all unanswered. I turned the screen toward her. "I called you every week, Mom. Every single week." She stared at the screen. Her lips moved as she counted the entries. Hoo. Then she looked up at me, and her face did something I hadn't seen since before any of this started. It crumpled. To the right side, the working side. It collapsed into grief. "Every week," she said. "Everyone." She reached for me with her good hand. I took it and leaned forward, and she pulled me in, not hard because she couldn't, and pressed her forehead against my shoulder. "I was so angry at you," she whispered. "For months. I was so angry, and you were calling the whole time." "It's not your fault, Mom. None of this is your fault." She cried and I cried. For the first time since this started, I let myself right there in the fluorescent light of a rehab center with sparrows chattering outside and a physical therapy session scheduled in 30 minutes. I held my mother and we grieved together for the 18 months we'd lost. The plea deal came through in February, 4 months after the indictment. Derek pleaded guilty to 1 count of elder financial exploitation, reduced from a Class 3 to a Class 5 felony. The forgery and identity theft charges were folded into the plea. Sentence 3 years suspended, meaning he wouldn't serve time in prison as long as he met every condition. No contact with Dorothy Henderson except through pre-approved supervised visits. Claire called me from the courthouse. I was at the rehab center sitting in the hallway while Mom did her afternoon exercises. "It's done," Claire said. "He took the deal. Okay. The restitution will take years, but it's enforceable. If he misses a payment, he goes back before the judge." "Okay, Whitney, are you all right?" I watched through the glass door as a physical therapist helped Mom stand from her wheelchair. One hand on the parallel bar, one shaky step, then another. "He's not going to prison," I said. "No, he's not." Part of me, a small hard part I'm not proud of, thought he should. 3 years behind bars for every lie, every stolen dollar, every night my mother spent alone believing I didn't love her. But a bigger part of me, the part that sounds like my mother on her best days, just wanted it over. I didn't need Derek in a cell. I needed Mom to never hear her son's name in the context of a prison sentence. She'd suffered enough. $60,000 wouldn't replace $340. Justice doesn't always look the way you imagine it. Sometimes it just looks like your mother being safe. And for now, that would have to be enough. 6 months after the stroke, Dorothy Henderson came home. I drove her myself. A Thursday morning in April, dogwoods blooming again along Route 15. Just like the night I'd driven south in the rain to find her in the hospital bed. This time the sky was clear, and my mother was sitting in the passenger seat, awake, alive, and watching the mountains roll past the window. She used a walker now. Her left side was still weak. Her speech was clearer every week, but long sentences tired her out. She needed help with meals, with bathing, with the small daily tasks she used to handle without thinking. I'd hired a part-time home care aide, a woman named Gloria, early 50s, practical and kind. She'd come mornings, Monday through Friday. I'd arranged to go hybrid at the hospital, 3 days in Millfield, 2 days in Richmond. My boss didn't love it, but she understood. Patty was waiting at the curb when we pulled into the gravel driveway. She'd planted new aylas along the front walk, pink and white, and tied a ribbon on the porch railing. I helped Mom out of the car. She gripped the walker, stood on the driveway, and looked at the house, the white fence, the porch swing, the kitchen window where she used to set pies out to cool. "Home," she said. Patty hugged her carefully. "Welcome back, Dot. I've got the garden looking good for you." Inside, I'd made changes. Window, a lower bed frame, grab bars in the bathroom, a new cordless phone on the nightstand with my number programmed as speed dial 1. I set up her new bank account that week. Co-signer me. Statements mailed to both addresses. Automatic alert for any withdrawal over $200. Russell Cahill at the bank reviewed the setup personally. No one would ever rewrite Dorothy Henderson's mail again. I sent an email to the entire Henderson family the following Sunday. I wrote it at Mom's kitchen table while she napped in the next room. "Dear family, Mom is home and recovering. I am her legal guardian. All questions about her health or finances should come directly to me. Derek is under a court-supervised protective order. He may visit Mom only through scheduled supervised sessions as approved by the court. Anyone who facilitates unsupervised contact between Derek and Mom will be reported for violation of the court order. I don't hold grudges, but I will hold boundaries. Mom's safety is not negotiable. Whitney." Aunt Karen called an hour later. "I got your email. I understand, Whitney, and I support you." Thank you, Aunt Karen. You can show your support by visiting Mom on Sundays. She'd love that. I'll be there this week. I made one more call, the last one I would make to Derek for a long time. "Derek, you have the right to see Mom through supervised visits. I won't block that, but you will make every restitution payment on time, and you will never, ever tell Mom anything about me without me present. Whitney." His voice was hollow. "Do you hate me?" I thought about it, genuinely thought about it. The tire swing, the school dance, the eulogy, the Zelle transfers, the PO. Cell transfers, the PO. Box the ATM receipt timestamp 45 minutes after our mother's stroke. No, I said, I don't hate you, but I don't trust you. And that's not my fault, Derek. That's yours. I hung up. I set the phone on the table, looked out the kitchen window at the white fence and the Aylas and the street where we grew up riding bikes and catching fireflies in mason jars. I don't owe anyone forgiveness on a timeline, but I owe my mother's safety on every single day. That line between those two things, that's my boundary and it holds. I'm not telling you this story so you'll hate my brother. Derek is a man who lost his marriage, his kids, his job, and his self-respect in the span of 6 months. He moved into our mother's house broken and desperate. And instead of asking for help, he helped himself to her money, to her trust, to the relationship she had with me. That doesn't make him a monster. It makes him someone who chose the wrong door when every door looked closed. I'm telling you this because I know someone watching right now is in a version of this story. Maybe you live far from your parents. Maybe a sibling moved home and slowly became the gatekeeper. Maybe you've been calling and no one's picking up. Maybe someone in your family told your mom or dad that you don't care and they believed it. If that's you, hear me. Living far from your parents doesn't make you a bad child. Distance is not abandonment. And if someone is using your absence as a weapon against your own mother or father, that's not your shame. It's theirs. Check in. Call the neighbors. Call the doctor. Call the bank if you have to ask the questions that feel uncomfortable. Because the alternative, finding out 18 months too late, is worse than any awkward conversation. And if you find what you're afraid of, act out of anger, not for revenge, but because the people who raised you deserve to be protected, even when the threat comes from inside the family. I lost 18 months with my mother. 18 months she spent believing I'd forgotten her. I will carry that for the rest of my life, but I won't lose another day. The hardest call I ever made wasn't to the lawyer or the bank or the DA. It was the moment I told myself, stop trusting your brother more than you trust your own instincts. Sunday afternoon, May. The kitchen smells like chicken soup. Mom's recipe, the one she taught me when I was 12. Bone broth, carrots, celery, a bay leaf, and more black pepper than any recipe calls for. She always said the secret was patience. Low and slow, Whitney. Let it do its work. Mom sits in Dad's old recliner by the window. Patty's across from her on the love seat, knitting something purple, a scarf maybe, or a very ambitious pot holder. The radio on the counter is tuned to the oldie station, Frankie Valli. Mom hums along a few beats behind. Whitney. Yeah, Mom. She waits until I look at her. The left side of her face still droops a little. Her voice is slower than it used to be, but her eyes are sharp. Soup needs more salt. I laugh, a real one. The kind that starts in your stomach and shakes your shoulders. Patty laughs too, and Mom smiles, lopsided, proud, entirely herself. I add a pinch of salt, stir the pot, look out the window above the sink. The white picket fence, the Aylas, pink and white, full bloom. My Civic parked on the street next to Patty's Subaru. The porch swing moves slightly in the breeze, the way it does when there's no one on it, but you can still feel the weight of everyone who ever sat there. Mom's bank account has $4,200 in it today. This month's pension, plus what I deposited last Friday. A long, long, long way from $340,000. She's home. All care. She's safe. She knows I never left. The soup simmers. Patty's needles click. Mom hums. And through the kitchen window, the afternoon light falls across the Ellas in long, easy gold. That's enough for now. That's enough for now. That's my story. If you made it to the end, thank you. I mean that. If this story reminded you of someone in your life, or if it made you want to check on your parents, do it today. Don't wait 18 months like I did. I want to hear from you. If you could say one thing to Derek, what would it be? Or if you've been through something like this and made it to the other side, tell me in the comments. Your story might help someone who needs it. And if you want more stories like this one, check the description. I've got a few you won't want to miss. I'll see you in the next one.